Hi, welcome to the Belly Brain Connection. I'm Hannah Winans, certified functional nutrition counselor, and I'm on a mission to educate people about the connection between their gut health and mental well-being. Thank you so much for tuning in. I believe that our gut health is a cornerstone to our overall health, and when we nourish our bodies, we nourish our minds. Today is episode 4. It is a rainy day in Humboldt County, California, and it is December 14th, so the Christmas countdown is on. I feel like it's the Christmas crunch. And I don't know if you're going through the same thing, but I really feel like Christmas snuck up on me this year. There's a lot still to do, a lot of errands to run, lots of gifts to buy, lots of social obligations. And I find myself constantly surrounded by sugar and alcohol this time of year. And I try pretty hard to lead a low carb, low sugar lifestyle and really try hard not to succumb to all the goodies. But you know what? It's almost impossible this time of year. So what I've done, and I hope maybe this might be a good tip for you, is that I'm arming myself with tools to get through this season, nutritional tools. And those tools are for me, because I do eat meat. I have these fermented beef sticks that I love, and walnuts, which I do really well with. For some people, almonds, people really like nuts, but almonds can aggravate their gut, which that happens to me. So I found that walnuts are a really good alternative. And I'm really starting off my mornings with high protein, high quality fat breakfast. So I just can kind of keep those blood sugar levels in check throughout the day. You know, when you have sugar and you can back it up with protein or a really healthy fat, that's really going to help stabilize you. It's going to kind of soften that crash that you're going to get from the sugar spike. I know for me, I wear a continuous glucose monitor. And so the days that I kind of go off the rails and I eat too much sugar or too many carbs, and I look at my graph for the day, it looks like a radical roller coaster, right? And when I look at that, it kind of is also a really good picture of what my mood looked like for the day too. So when we were kind of constantly riding that roller coaster of blood sugar level spikes and falls, that's really going to affect how we're able to cope and how we're able to deal with things during the holiday season when we're having so many things thrown at us, right? So we've got the combination of all these obligations, and also probably we're eating the worst we are all year during this time of the season. So just kind of a tip, be aware, arm yourself with some nutritious tools that will help get you through the day. When you do have sugar, back it up with a good quality protein, nut, fat, something like that. And maybe that will really help kind of stabilize you during this season. So what I really want to talk about today, though, is the book that I recommended last podcast. And this is The Mind-Gut Connection, written by Dr. Emeran Mayer. And this book is great. If you really are trying to get a sense of just the basics of how the gut-brain connection works, he does a really, really good job of explaining it all in detail. He dives into gut microbiome. He dives into the connection between mental health and gut health, depression and microbes. I love it. I think that this is great for anybody who has a scientific mind and really likes to learn about the science of it. But even if you just want to know kind of some basics, it's really well written. I'm going to just talk a little bit about some of the things that I highlighted from the book. I'm hoping that I'll be able to give you enough nuggets that you'll want to read the book yourself. But if not, my goal is to at least help you kind of leave this podcast with some useful information. You can go to my website, bellybrain.com, if you want to buy the book. I'm not selling it directly. I just created a link to Amazon so you can easily find it. As with all things Belly Brain and on this podcast, I'll always be directing you to the website for more information. It's just an easy place for you to access what I'm talking about. So I'll read the summary off the back of the book because I feel like that was a really good explanation of what the book's about, but also kind of encompasses what Belly Brain's about. Okay, so here we go. Chances are, at some point in your life, you've noticed the connection between your brain and your gut. If you've ever felt queasy as you walked into an uncomfortable situation or based a life decision based on a gut feeling, then you know that sometimes our bodies react faster than our minds. Most of us have also experienced the same phenomenon in reverse, where our mental state has affected our digestive system, like the butterflies in our stomach before an important meeting or a first date. But while the dialogue between the mind and the gut has been recognized by ancient healing traditions for centuries, scientists today are just starting to understand how powerful and far-reaching that connection is. In The Mind-Gut Connection, Dr. Emeran Mayer offers a cutting-edge view into this developing science, showing us the full impact of how the brain, gut, and microbiome, the community of microorganisms that lives inside the digestive tract communicate. When this communication system is out of balance, major health problems can crop up, including digestive disorders, obesity, depression, anxiety, food sensitivities, allergies, and fatigue. With a few simple changes to our diet and lifestyle, we can enjoy a happier mindset, enhanced immunity, a decreased risk of developing neurological diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and even lose weight. With a simple, practical regimen drawn from 40 years of clinical practice and the latest research, Dr. Mayer shows us that paying attention to the mind-gut balance is the key to unlocking vibrant health. I love it. This is a great book. Emeran Mayer, Dr. Emeran Mayer has studied brain-body interactions for the last 40 years. He is the executive director of the G. Oppenheimer Center for Neurobiology of Stress and Resilience and the co-director of the Digestive Disease Research Center at the University of California at Los Angeles. So a well-qualified dude to write this kind of a book. Lots of great nuggets in here. He covers, some of the things that he covers is he gets into what happens when our microbes fall out of sync or fall out of a healthy state. And that is called dysbiosis. And you'll hear me refer to that throughout all these episodes because that's kind of the core of what we're looking at, right? How to improve our gut health. And when it's in dysbiosis, that is wreaking havoc on all kinds of other systems in our body. He has some really good information about how microbes can actually affect your social behavior, which I thought was fascinating. He gets into the role of serotonin. He has some advice on, he gets into the role of serotonin and how that works with your gut and your brain connection. And I talked a little bit about that in the last episode. He also has some recommendations of really good foods to eat for your diet. Now, this is where I don't necessarily agree 100% with what he says about food because I'm a meat eater, and I'm sorry if you're a vegan or a vegetarian and you're not, that's fine. You do you. Everybody knows what works well for their body, but I do eat meat, and I do believe in high quality fat from meat. And he kind of leans the other direction. He's kind of saying to stay away from it. So again, in functional nutrition, what we're looking at, it's not just what you eat, but it's what your body does with what you eat. And that has to do with your own individual gut microbiome. And that's why one person can follow a diet that works really well for them, and then another person tries it and it's chaos. So I'm not subscribing to one diet theory here. I'm just telling you what works for me. So, but really good book. I love how he gets into, there's a section where he talks about the gut microbial diversity and vulnerability for brain disorders. This is what he has to say. The diversity and abundance of gut microbes vary over the lifetime of an individual. It is low during the first 3 years of life when a stable gut microbiome is being established, and it reaches its maximum during adult life and decreases as we grow older. The early period of low diversity coincides with the vulnerability window for the neurodevelopmental disorders such as autism and anxiety, while the late period of low diversity coincides with the development of neurodegenerative disorders such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. One may speculate that these low diversity states are risk factors for developing such diseases. So this hit home to me for a couple of reasons, but one being mainly that my mother-in-law passed away a few years ago from dementia, and she also suffered from type 2 diabetes for years. And she really kind of followed that 80s, 90s high carb, low fat diet where, you know, if you went to her house, you would see low fat granola bars and low fat cereal, and which are not great foods for anybody who has type 2 diabetes to start with. But she really thought those were the healthy options. And she was cute. She would talk about, she was a British, had a strong British accent. And she would say every morning she would have her shredded wheat and bananas. And, you know, it was something that she did every morning. And now that I know what I know, that was probably the worst thing she should be eating for what she was going through. And I do feel like if I had those tools and was able to help her with her nutrition back then, not that she would have avoided getting dementia, but maybe we could have staved it off a little bit longer and been able to, she had some gut dysbiosis too, and been able to kind of manage that type 2 diabetes a little bit better. There's research now where they're really making the connection between high carbohydrate, high sugar diet and dementia and Alzheimer's, and they're basically calling dementia and Alzheimer's the type 3 diabetes. So there's a strong connection there that the research is, looking into, and we're going to be learning more about that, I think, in the years to come. So it's a really powerful tool to know that if you have somebody in your life that's struggling with Alzheimer's or dementia, that maybe helping them with their diet will help them overall. So, but I really thought that was some good information. Fascinating. He dives into artificial sweeteners and how those really disrupt the gut microbiome. I've known that for a while, but I liked really reading the book and having a better explanation of why. And it's sad because a lot of people who are using artificial sweeteners are trying to lose weight, but actually it can disturb the gut microbiome enough that the reverse can happen. It could actually cause weight gain. So he goes into more detail on that. He also goes into detail about our agricultural, our food, the pesticides and the things that are being sprayed on the foods that we eat. I think we're all pretty aware that there's a big health movement right now happening where there's a lot of whistleblowers wanting to bring forth the fact that, and the knowledge to people that we are being poisoned by our ultra processed foods and the things that are sprayed on them. And so he goes into that and kind of explains how those foods disrupt our gut microbiome, and the chemicals like glyphosate that they're spraying on wheat, how that can really have a detrimental effect to our microbiome and eventually our mental health. Let's see. I love how he talks about the fact that our microbes control our food cravings. He talks about the lure of comfort foods and how that works. We're basically essentially being controlled by these little bugs, buddies, whatever you want to call them in our belly. And so I like how he can kind of just paint that picture so we have a better understanding, but also back it up with the science and the information. So I think that like I said, I would try to make this quick. I just wanted to hit some highlights on this book and hopefully give you enough to where you're like, maybe I want to check that out. I'll leave you with a paragraph that I really liked that he has in the book. And this is what he says. The time has come to empower ourselves to become the engineers of our own internal ecosystem and our bodies and minds. To become your own ecosystem engineer, you will first need to understand how your brain communicates with your gut, how your gut communicates with your brain, and how your gut microbes influence both of these interactions. In the pages that follow, we will look at the latest scientific findings about these communication systems. If I'm successful, by the end of the book, you'll be looking at yourself and the world around you in an entirely new way. Great book. I love it. Grab it. Take a look at it. I think that you'll learn a lot and really give you it's a good starter on this whole belly brain adventure that we're on. Also, if you're interested in a really good documentary in conjunction with this book, I recommend Hack Your Health. It's a Netflix documentary. I have a link to the preview on it at bellybrain.com. But it's great. It's a great documentary that kind of explains what's going on in our bellies, all things gut microbiome. But it's done in a really cute way where it's like cartoon meets yarn and fabric. I don't know what you call it, but very entertaining. I think it's a pretty family-friendly documentary. Warning at the very end, they talk about fecal transplants, which it's a thing. I can't believe it's a thing, but it's a thing. So it's a little bit gross at the end. So definitely don't watch this over dinner, and maybe screen the end of it just in case you might have a little one in your house that won't get it or will freak them out, or you don't want them getting excited and talking about poop all day long. There will be a poop podcast. There's no way that we can talk about the gut microbiome without talking about poop, but that's another podcast for another time. We'll cover fecal transplants then. For now, we'll keep it clean. The mind-gut connection, hack your health, and I look forward to seeing you next episode. Take care of yourselves this holiday season so that you can take care of everybody else, because I know that's what you're doing. And just make sure you get some good, nourishing food in you. And we'll see you next episode. Thank you. Bye.